I've come to North London today to meet with Erin and Leo to chat to them about their company Yumbug. They are making meals out of insects. So we're going to be cooking up a storm today. I'm a little bit nervous. I've never eaten insects before, but I really do think this is the future of food. So let's go in. This is really exciting. I actually am a little bit nervous as well because we're about to be eating some of these things. Can you just sort of explain what edible insects we're using? What are you going to be cooking up today?
So we're going to be cooking up some cricket-based tacos. What we have here is some mince and some strips that are all made with Cambridgeshire farmed crickets. And we just blend them down, add some ingredients, create a meat out of them. We're going to mix that with some guacamole. We've got some onions, we've got some tomatoes. We're going to make two different tacos for you to try today, one with the mince and one with the strips.
And is it surprise secret ingredients or is it?
No, there's just a little bit of gluten in there and some flavourings, that's about it.
Okay.
It's about 75% cricket in those ingredients, so natural high quality protein.
So where did the crickets come from?
So the crickets are actually farmed in Cambridgeshire. We work with a partner farm there. We get them shipped over here and then we process them in this building right here.
Oh, amazing. So all the crickets that you supply are all from Cambridge?
All from Cambridgeshire, British crickets.
So proper British crickets,
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if that tastes different to any other crickets.
Actually, surprisingly, you find that in the same way that you can have a good quality British beef steak, for example, you can actually have good quality and bad quality crickets. And one of the things that depends on is a lot of the feed that they're given. So the crickets in the UK are actually given a really high quality feed of things like grain, pea, wheat, a little bit of soy and other like fruit and vegetables. And that means that you get a really nice, mild, nutty taste in the crickets, whereas a lot of other countries might feed them things like fish meal, for example, and then the crickets end up tasting fishy. These are really, really tasty crickets. You probably couldn't get better quality crickets in the whole world, to be honest.
I love that through this you're solving so many of the issues that we have in society, from climate change and health issues that we have within people eating too much of things that are bad for them. Is this trying to solve those sorts of issues?
Of course, yeah. So one of the great things about insects is that whilst they're really sustainable, they're incredibly nutrient dense. So dried crickets are up to about 70% protein. They have more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk, more potassium than bananas, more fibre than brown rice, as much vitamin B12 as red meat. So they're really packed with loads and loads of good stuff. They are truly a superfood. What we're doing is then just reformatting them into something that is slightly more appealing to the UK market. Our strips and mince here have about 30% protein, which is about a third more than your British beef mince from Waitrose, for example.
How are you going to shift the mindset in Britain? Because I do know most people that I've mentioned this to, they sort of look at you a bit aghast that I was coming here to eat insects. But I know it's the future and this is the way the world's going to go. But how are you going to change that mindset?
Most people in the UK haven't seen edible insect foods. They've never tried edible insects. I think one of the best ways of changing people's minds is firstly showing them food that actually looks delicious. So making sure that whatever imagery they see around food containing insects actually looks appetizing and recognizable to them. And the second thing is educating them around the reasons why you would want to eat insects. So everything I was talking about earlier, the sustainability message, talking to them about the nutrition, just how much better this is for you than lots of other forms of protein. It's also much less processed than some of the other vegan alternatives you might find on the market. As Leo was saying earlier, this is about 75% just blended cricket. So most of it is natural, whole food, effectively.
I've got 3 kids and we're constantly trying to up their protein. So who would you say is your target market?
Primarily young people. So YouGov had a report out that 18 to 24-year-olds, half of whom believe insects are the future. That's about 66% on the average population. So certainly, younger people are more open-minded to it. People who care about, the environment, who want to eat more sustainably. So flexitarians, people who are trying to reduce their meat consumption, which are now the mainstream. So, the mainstream consumer in the UK is a meat eater who's trying to reduce their meat consumption.
I just love how you're tackling such big world issues in such a unique way. What was it that gave you that sense of purpose?
Both of us are really passionate about creating a positive impact on the planet, and both of us are highly aware of the sustainability issues and climate change. But both of us came to edible insects through a different means. I was an entomologist before this, so worked in insect labs across the UK.
What is an entomologist?
Oh, so an insect scientist.
Okay, wow.
So I worked with aphids, mosquitoes, all sorts of stuff. And basically learned about edible insects through research. For someone that knows a lot about insects, I'd never tried any myself. I'd never seen it being done, and it felt like a really undervalued potential solution for some of these problems that I was becoming aware of.
So I grew up all over Southeast Asia. My mum's Thai. Thailand's sort of a massive insect-eating country, but the UN started talking about how insects could really solve some of the major food sustainability issues, and I think that got me really excited from an environmental perspective. That was sort of a similar time, so this was about 2013, similar time to when Aaron heard about it. Aaron was cooking with insects just out of his kitchen, making burgers and sausages. We sort of met up, and next thing we knew, we were at my parents' garage, cooking the stuff up on evenings and weekends. So that's how it all kicked off, and it was very much a hobby for several years until lockdown hit, and I think we just had, a bit more time on our hands and the opportunity, I think, to actually launch this into something a bit more serious. So that's when we sold our first insects, and it all snowballed from there.
I absolutely love that, and my big passion in life is businesses solving mold issues, and this couldn't be more perfect. One of those examples of trying to solve so many issues with also making a profit at the same time. We've got a couple of other investments that we've made, one called Upside Foods, which is making meat in labs. Oh, wow. And also Grow Up Farms, which is vertical farming in the UK, making amazingly delicious lettuce from these amazing vertical farms. And what's great is the science is now starting to back things up, and you can actually do the experiments to see what's the right things to be eating and their effect on our health. We're just
really excited to be in the space of being part of this whole new culinary frontier. And actually this is how we're sort of talking to chefs, you can be part of this solution. So for us, this isn't necessarily the solution, it's a solution, and a very important potential solution in a whole spectrum of solutions. So if we can be one or two dishes in people's week, that for us is where we're trying to get to. Because ultimately eating, chickpea burger every night, starts to get boring. So what are some of these other things that starts to make eating more sustainable foods exciting? And that's really what we're here trying to do.
There's no one in the UK that's really making cricket meat like we are right here. There is a couple of companies that have tested out versions of mince using different types of insects, and there's a couple of companies selling mainly snacks, things like crisps, energy bars, protein powders, for example. That's the main market. There are a couple of companies in Europe that are doing burgers and a couple of other things as well. Okay, let's get ready to plate up.
I would never have said, oh look, there's some cricket mince. That would not be the first thing that pops into my head. I'm excited to taste what this tastes like. Oh, it's really, really yummy. It's really like meat. It's like meat, but I couldn't give you a meat that it tastes like. Yeah. Most things everyone says they taste like chicken. That actually doesn't taste like chicken. It's more like red meat. Family, we're having crickets twice a week. It's been great to see how quickly you guys have grown. And you're going from strength to strength. What's next for you guys? What are you excited about?
Getting into some really big national restaurant chains would be awesome. I mean, we're currently chatting to Wagamama, to Honest Burgers, so a few of the bigger guys, but really sort of establishing ourselves in the restaurant scene would be the next thing. Beyond that, getting onto supermarket shelves. I mean, the mission for us is to create a more sustainable food system. Taking insects mainstream is all about getting insects into places where you can already buy meat. So we want insects to be available wherever meat is an option.
Okay, while I'm eating this, do you guys have one message? We've got a camera here today. One message that you'd just love to get out there.
We would absolutely love to speak to any restaurants across London, across the UK that would be interested in putting some of our cricket-based meat onto their menu. And we'd love to work with you guys and develop something that's really delicious and gets people talking.
It is really delicious.
Thank you. You'll probably also see us around London in big cricket costumes trying to speak to people in the street as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Do you have those here?
We do, actually. We've got an extra one if you want it.
I love a costume. Fancy dress parties are my favourite, so I might be borrowing it one day.
So cute.